Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance, Chapter 3. We have picked up a southwest side wind, and the cycle cants into the gusts, seemingly by itself, to counter their effect. Lately there's been a sense of something peculiar about this road, apprehension about something, as if we were being watched or followed. But there is not a car anywhere ahead, and in the mirror are only John and Sylvia way behind. Chapter 2 is short, but that doesn't matter. All chapters contribute in important ways. And in this chapter, we begin to explore the theme of motorcycle maintenance in earnest. But first, a real-world philosophical reflection, one of many of the sort that adds an additional layer of meaning to this book. So out on the road, on the cycle, there is a different perception of discomfort and of boredom outside of the world of artificially enhanced comfort and distraction in the city. John was worried Sylvia would not be up to the discomfort of this and planned to have her fly to Billings, Montana. But Sylvia and I both talked him out of it. I argued that physical discomfort is important only when the mood is wrong. Then you fasten onto whatever thing is uncomfortable and call it the cause. But if the mood is right, then physical discomfort doesn't mean much. And when thinking about Sylvia's moods and feelings, I couldn't see her complaining. Shortly thereafter, he reflects on Sylvia, whose company he really enjoys. She seems so depressed sometimes by the monotony and boredom of her city life. I thought maybe in this endless grass and wind, she would see a thing that sometimes comes when monotony and boredom are accepted. It's here, but I have no names for it. So it's a very different perception when you're out in nature and you are in relationship with the isness of things, and things like physical discomfort just don't have the same gravity that they do in the city, and neither does boredom. In this chapter, the narrator discusses how he arrived at understanding the importance of motorcycle maintenance. So imagine you have a small motorcycle. It's your first motorcycle. You take your first trip, and after, a lot of maybe a big rainstorm or something, your motorcycle just sort of slows down and then it stops, and you're able to pull off the road, maybe into a filling station or something. And you check it, and you hear the gas sloshing around, so your assumption is that you couldn't have run out of gas. But there's no way to get a cycle to a mechanic. You're out in the middle of nowhere. You're lucky to even have pulled into that gas station, and that's just not an option. So you come to the realization that you have to inform your son that the trip is over, and your heart sinks as he bursts into tears. You end up spending thousands renting a trailer and getting your motorcycle back home. So a couple of weeks later, you go to the garage trying to figure out this problem. You're going to take it to the mechanic soon enough, but trying to figure this out. And you learn that the gas you thought you had was in the reserve tank. And in order to access the reserve tank, you have to turn it on. You didn't know your motorcycle well enough. I didn't understand then how foolish quick assumptions like that are. Now we are on a 28-horse machine, and I take the maintenance of it very seriously. Before this incident, his attitude towards motorcycles was kind of like John's, just let the mechanics do it. But there was another incident, almost as jarring as the gas incident, that catalyzes the necessity of knowing and maintaining your cycle. And this involves taking his cycle to be repaired to a bunch of happy-go-lucky mechanics who clock out at 5 and don't think of their work again until 9 in the morning. It was covered with grease and did not start. I found the plugs were disconnected, connected them, and started it. And now there really was a tappet noise. They hadn't adjusted them. I pointed this out, and a kid came over with an open-in adjustable wrench, set wrong, and swiftly rounded both of the sheet aluminum tappet covers, ruining both of them. "I hope we've got some more of those in stock," he said, and I nodded. He brought out a hammer and a cold chisel and started to pound them loose. The chisel punched through the aluminum cover, and I could see he was pounding the chisel right into the engine head. On the next blow, he missed the chisel completely and struck the head with a hammer, breaking off a portion of two of the cooling fins. "Just stop," I said politely, feeling this was a bad dream. "Just give me new covers and I'll take it the way it is." I got out of there as fast as possible. Noisy tappet, shot tappet covers, greasy machine, down the road, and then felt a bad vibration at speeds over 20. At the curb, I discovered two of the 4 engine mounting bolts were missing, and a nut was missing from the third. The whole engine was hanging on by only 1 bolt. The overhead cam chain tensioner bolt was also missing, meaning it would have been hopeless to try to adjust the tappets anyway. Nightmare. And later he says, "The question why comes back again and again and has become a major reason for wanting to deliver the Chautauqua. Why did they butcher it so? These were not people running away from technology like John and Sylvia. These were technologists themselves. They sat down to do a job and they performed it like chimpanzees. Nothing personal in it." So this attitude reminds him of some of the computer manuals that he edits for a living. Implicit in every line is the idea that here is the machine, isolated in time and space from everything else in the universe. It has no relationship to you. You have no relationship to it other than to turn certain switches, maintain voltage levels, check for error conditions. And there's that important word, relationship. But this is the spectator attitude and not in relationship with the cycle. The spectator attitude is detached, and Persig, in this nightmarish mechanics scenario, is showing us what not caring looks like in order to prime us for its opposite, which is caring, and why a factor of 20th century attitude seems to be caring about what you are doing is considered either unimportant or taken for granted. On this trip, I think we should notice it, explore it a little, to see if in that strange separation of what man is from what man does, we may have some clues as to what the hell has gone wrong in this 20th century. I don't want to hurry it. That in itself is a poisonous 20th century attitude. So that's the beginning of motorcycle maintenance. So there's a last element in this chapter I want to talk about, and the narrator in this chapter begins to report a feeling of unease, and this is reflected in the quote with which I open this video, but he dismisses it to maybe a storm brewing. "Now on the horizon I see something else I don't think the others see. Far off to the southwest, you see it only from the top of this hill. The sky has a dark edge. Storm coming. That may be what is bothering me." Although the storm can't explain a major cognitive freeze he has where he doesn't notice a sign for his turn that is as big as a barn. And now tagging along behind them, I think, why should I do a thing like that? I hardly notice the freeway. And just now I forget to tell him about the storm. Things are getting a little unsettling. Unsettling? It sounds like a harbinger of things to come. Or am I reading a little bit too much in this at this point? Anyway, I hope that made sense, and I'll see you next Sunday for Chapter 3.